This NFL week was absolutely crazy, and it feels like for the first 4 weeks of the season, it's just been unpredictable. Today, I'm going to try to make some sense of it doing my week 4 NFL reactions. This is the first reaction video I have to the NFL, at least by week. So, we're going to look at some of the games. Actually, we're going to look at all the games. We're going to look at some of the stats, what I saw from some of the games, my opinions on it, and just what these teams should be looking at going forward. So, here are my week 4 NFL reactions. Starting off with the game I got incorrect. I'm gonna move the camera to the bottom right so we're able to see everything we have to. Yeah, the Cowboys came into MetLife and just beat the Giants. Giants could not finish a drive. They ended up with what was it, 5 field goals on this game. Yeah, they were just driving down the field. They got to what the 30 inside the 30, but could never finish a drive, and that's obviously the reason why they lost this game. Dak Prescott had a very solid game. That rushing was pretty terrible. I think it was the first half of that game. Like nobody at all showed up as a running back. Rico Dowdle's looking like he is that running back one. CeeDee Lamb took 3 carries, which I was a little bit surprised about, but maybe I'm just not watching enough Cowboys football. But yeah, Ezekiel Elliott is kind of doing exactly what I thought he was going to do on the Cowboys. Receiving wise, CeeDee Lamb did his thing, 7 for 98 and a touchdown. Ferguson, he's come back. I think this is his second week back, and he's been solid since he's come back, 7 for 49. But other than that, really not too much action there. Tolbert with 3 catches, Cooks with only one, Dowdle with one, Hunter Luke with two, and Ezekiel Elliott with one. Defensively, Daniel Jones played a pretty solid game. Obviously, that last pick to former Detroit Lion Amani Oruwariye, and then Demarcus Lawrence got in only one time. The Giants' offensive line played solid. Yeah, I think overall, Giants didn't play that bad, but Cowboys just outlasted them. The Giants side of things, I think Daniel Jones probably had his best. I don't know if I call it his best game of the season. I mean, he was pretty solid last week as well, but it just looked like he was more comfortable. He did miss some throws where they could have ended up being bigger plays, but I think he had two to Malik Neighbors where he just underthrew him to not get a touchdown, but he ended up throwing very efficiently, 29 for 40, 281 yards. And then that pick, it was kind of the last play of the game, so I'm not really going to count that. Devin Singletary got absolutely destroyed that game. Daniel Jones, same thing, and Tyrone Tracy Jr. as well. The rushing for both teams was not great. Receiving wise, it's looking like Malik Neighbors might end up this season as a top 5 wide receiver in the league. And I'm not just talking about counting stats, I'm talking about in general. He might be a top 5 receiver. Wan'Dale Robinson had 11 catches for 71 yards. It looks like he had a very solid game, but he had a couple of drops where if he had those, the Giants might have been able to score a touchdown. I'm not saying direct touchdown passes, but there was some drops he had on third down, maybe even a fourth down one as well. But I'm pretty sure multiple third down drops for Wan'Dale Robinson. The 11 for 71 looks good, but he could have done a little bit more to help that team win. And then defensively wise, Kayvon Thibodeau got in once, and I think that was really it from their defense. And then obviously field goal kicking. Whereas right here, Greg Joseph, the new kicker, they got because Graham Gano got injured. He went 5 for 5 and was perfect, except the Giants scored no touchdowns. The next game we're here to talk about is going to be the Bengals beating the Panthers 34-24. This game kind of went exactly how I thought. I knew the Panthers were going to score some points because that Bengals defense has not been great. But obviously, that Bengals team, their offense is just too good to not outscore this Carolina Panthers team. Panthers do not have a great defense. Joe Burrow had a solid game, had one pretty bad interception, but overall, I think he had a very solid game. 22 completions with 232 yards. Chase Brown had 15 rushes for 80 yards, and as a Zach Moss fantasy owner, this does not make me too excited because it's looking like Chase Brown so far. I'm not going to say so far during the season, but he's kind of keeping up with that production that we expected Zach Moss to bring as well. So I don't know if he's running back one, but him getting those 2 touchdowns, him getting those goal line touches, kind of hurt. Jamar Chase only had 3 catches this game, but obviously one of those were an insane touchdown yards after catch. T. Higgins, solid 6 for 60. Then Andre Yosivas, 1 for 29. He was okay. He had a lot bigger game last week against the Commanders. And then Eric All Jr., I'm going to be honest, do not know who he is. Had a solid game. Same thing with Zach Moss receiving wise. And yeah, it's basically it for their offense. Defensively, Von Bell got a pick on Andy Dalton. And when it comes to sacks, I don't think they had any sacks this game. Pretty good job by the Carolina Panthers O line. For the Panthers side of things, Andy Dalton had a really solid game as well, just like he did last week. It's looking like it was not the Carolina Panthers' fault. It was Bryce Young's fault on why he started off so bad. But yeah, it looked like you can be a solid quarterback with this Panthers team. Potentially, if they end up getting that number 1 overall pick, maybe they can go ahead and take a guy like Cam Ward, like Shadur Sanders, like, I don't even know, Carson Beck. Who knows who's going to be that number one overall pick? I've said it so many years in the past. If there are teams on the top of the draft that need quarterback, they are going to take them because how valuable that position is. So if a quarterback can truly succeed in this Carolina Panthers offense, we might see them take one. Because Andy Dalton right now, he's kind of dicing up. Chuba Hubbard, 18 carries for 104 yards and a touchdown. That's 2 straight weeks of big Chuba Hubbard days. That's maybe something to look out for because he obviously was one of the best running backs in college, probably the best running back at Oklahoma State. Has been slow so far to the NFL. He's probably running back one at this point. Miles Sanders, terrible year last year, and it started this year off pretty bad as well. But 6 for 32 is not too bad. Deontay Johnson had a very solid game. Xavier Legette got in for his first career touchdown. And then other than that, Jonathan Mingo with 3 catches, Chuba Hubbard with 4, and then big, what was he, a second or third rounder? Tight end out of Texas, Jatavian Sanders, 2 for 16. Xavier Woods was the one who picked off Joe Burrow on the interesting throw. And then when it comes to sacks, they also had no sacks. So there was 0 sacks this game. Next up, we have the Saints losing 24-26 to the Falcons. As a Saints fan, it hurts, but honestly, I could feel a lot worse about this game. I feel like that we continue to have these games where we feel like we could build off of them, maybe go into next week having more confidence going against a Chiefs team that lost their wide receiver one. But a game like this is just something you have to close out. Paulson Adebo, I think his counting stats are going to look solid, but he had some terrible plays, especially at the end of the game. That pass interference against Darnell Mooney, which led to a Younghoe Koo game-winning field goal. Passing wise, Derek Carr was honestly solid. That one interception came off of a tip ball. I'm not going to blame that on him. I'm rushing. Alvin Kamara got in once, and I was an Alvin Kamara fantasy owner as well. Seeing Taysom Hill get 2 rushing touchdowns hurts me a lot, but I love Taysom Hill as a Saints fan. Rashid Shaheed got 2 rushes. I'm going to be honest, do not remember seeing those. And then Jamal Williams only 3. Honestly, I'd like to see him get a little bit more because it feels like we're putting all the pressure on Alvin Kamara at least these last 2 weeks to be our lead and solo rusher. Taysom Hill once again got injured. We'll see if he's going to be ready for next week. But I'd like to see Jamal Williams get involved at least a little bit more. Receiving wise, Chris Olave saved this team like 3 times on third and fourth down. He was the only reason we had a chance to win that game. Shaheed bounced back a lot. He surprisingly only 10.4 yards a catch, but he had a lot of short passes, a lot of intermediate passes, didn't really connect on the deep ball. Alvin Kamara does what he do, 7 catches. Juwan Johnson was fine as well, and Jamal Williams with 2 catches. And finally, a third receiver caught a pass, Mason Tipton. Now, all right, like I said, defensively wise, Paulson Adebo, 10 tackles, 1 interception. That looks like an amazing game. But when he can't stick with a guy like Darnell Mooney, that's going to hurt us, especially on that last play where he did that pass interference. That was basically the game at that point. I know, looks like he had a good game, but that's why you have to watch some of these games and not just look at the stats because he sold us that game. Otherwise than that, Peyton Turner got in for a sack. Ryan Brzee looks like he didn't, which is unfortunate because he was having a very good start to the season. And for the Falcons side of things, Kirk Cousins was not good, like not good at all. That one interception was Paulson Adebo, obviously on a diving. I think he jumped a route, or maybe the wide receiver fell and he got a diving interception. But nonetheless, Kirk Cousins did not play good. Tyler Algier looking like maybe the more consistent running back than Bijan Robinson, at least so far this season. I think, if um, I'm not mistaken, I think he's probably, I'm not going to know if he's rushing for more yards than Bijan this season, but he might average more yards a carry. Just look at it real quick. I mean, yeah, he's not getting as much yards. He's only a couple, like what, 40, 50, 60 off from Bijan Robinson. But look at this. Over, or not over, 2 yards more per carry. That's definitely something to know. And then touchdown wise, Bijan has one, but looking like Tyler Algier so far this season has been the more consistent running back. He had a very solid game. He broke off like what, 2, 3 10-yard runs that just hurt us a lot. Drake London was solid. Darnell Mooney, he drew the pass interference that won them the game, so he had a really good game as well. Ray McLeod, not gonna lie, didn't notice him too much, but looks like he had a very consistent game. And then Bijan Robinson had that one catch where just went right through the Saints defense, could not tackle him at all. Troy Anderson had the tip interception. He also had 9 tackles that game, so a very good game from him. D. Alford was solid. Mike Hughes was solid. That's a bit surprising. And then when it comes to sacks, I'm pretty sure they had one, right? Yeah, D. Alford came in for a sack. Overall, as a Saints fan, am I mad at that game? I guess a little bit, but I'm really focused on just building from that game, hopefully trying to defeat this Chiefs team next week because I really think this team is able to do it. Next up, we're going to have the Texans beating the Jaguars. The Jaguars had this lead basically to that end of the game until we saw CJ Stroud to Arike Agumbawale, I believe his name is, for that touchdown. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence, 169, two touchdowns. He was not efficient throwing the ball. Again, what's happening with Press Taylor? What's happening with Doug Peterson? Why is this offense going this way? I'm not sure, but they didn't look too bad. Tank Bigsby was very good on the ground, 12.9 yards a carry, 90 yards. Travis Etienne, solid, 11 for 50. Brian Thomas Jr. also got a rush. Then receiving, Brian Thomas Jr. was very good. He's looking like one of the most underrated rookie receivers we have so far in the league. Everyone wants to look at Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. sneakily might be having a better season than Marvin Harrison Jr. Who knows? Christian Kirk was also solid. Other than that, wow, no receivers showed up. Brenton Strange is a tight end. Travis Etienne, obviously a running back. Luke Farrell is a tight end as well. So only two receivers caught for positive yards that game. Gabe Davis, one catch for negative 2 yards. That's not good. Trevor Lawrence, he had a catch for negative 5 yards. I'm not exactly sure how that happened. Did he tip the catch to himself? I'm not sure. But defensively, one sack was from Roy Robertson Harris. We haven't seen too many sacks, and also Jeremiah Ledbetter got in there as well. Now in receptions, CJ Stroud was pretty good. And from the Texans side of things, like I said, CJ Stroud with a very, very solid game. 27 for 43, 45, and a touchdown. Looking like he could be an MVP candidate if it wasn't for Sam Darnold maybe running away with that award. Rushing wise, Cam Akers, he kind of took the spot of Joe Mixon for this week. Obviously, Joe Mixon injured, but he was solid on the ground, 4.1 yards per carry. Nothing great, but obviously it's not terrible. Receiving wise, Nico Collins leading the league in receiving yards right now. He's looking extremely good. Stephon Diggs was also solid. It's a nice number two. And it's looking like he might be okay, being that wide receiver two slash wide receiver three. Obviously, we have Nico Collins as that by far wide receiver one. He's one of the best receivers in the league. A lot of people thought Stephon Diggs was going to be mad. His ego would be hurt because Nico Collins and maybe Tank Dell will be above him on the pecking order for wide receivers. But it's looking like he's taking it fine. He loves CJ Stroud as his quarterback a lot more than he liked Josh Allen. So maybe this team's going to be able to move forward with him. Who knows? I think it will. I don't think we'll see any problems this season. I think overall, he's having a very solid season so far. Dare Gunbowale, did I call him something else the first time? I call him a Reek. I don't. His names are Dare for sure. I don't know if I miscalled his name the first time. He had a solid game. Then defensively, Eric Murray got in for a sack. To be honest, do not know who you are. And then other than that, looks like it was fine from there. Texans, very solid game. And I think they should go into next week against the Bills. Very excited for a top AFC matchup. Here's probably the surprise of the week. The New York Jets lose to the Denver Broncos 10-9 in a terrible game. This was a red zone game for me for sure. Was not watching this whole game through. Bo Nix, 60 yards for a touchdown, 12 for 25 passing. That's bad. But as long as he got that win, I guess that's all he should care about. Devontae Williams was pretty good from the ground. That's something we have not seen as of recently. Jaleel McLaughlin was also pretty solid. Receiving wise, Cortland Sutton got him for the touchdown, the game winning touchdown, apparently. And other than that, there was nothing there. I mean, that's kind of what's going to happen if your quarterback throws for only 60 yards. Sacks wise, this team had a couple of them. PJ Locke got in for one. Justin Stranad. I'm going to be honest, have not heard of you either, but you got him for a sack as well. Stranad, interesting name. John Franklin Myers got him for a sack, and Jonah Ellis and Malcolm Roach combined for one as well. On the Jets side of things, not looking too good. Aaron Rodgers, 225 passing yards. At halftime, he was looking pretty bad. He got up a little bit at the second half of the game, but overall, not a great game from the Hall of Fame quarterback. Raylan Allen looking like he might be this team's new running back one. I mean, Brees Hall, 10 rushes for 4 yards. I don't know about that one. Raylan Allen, though, looking like a very solid rookie so far. Brees Hall definitely has some questions. Receiving wise, Mike Williams had a very solid game, 4 for 67. Same thing with Alan Lazard. Garrett Wilson, there's going to be some questions around his name just because the connection between him and A-Rod is not the same as what we thought it was going to be. It felt like the connection had all the possibility to be Devontae Adams like. Overall, I think the offense will continue to gel, though. I don't see too much problem, but when you're losing 10-9, there's definitely some questions that can be raised. Defensively wise, sacks, they had 0 sacks this game. I mean, that's bad. That's just terrible that they did not get in once against that Broncos O line. Interceptions, they had 0 as well. I'm going to be honest, The defense might have got some stops, but we need these big plays like sacks and interceptions to try to turn the way these games are going. So far for the Jets, though, my worriness meter for this team, I predicted them to be a wild card team. I predicted them to get out of the wild card. I see my worriness meters at like maybe a 7 right now. The offense is not looking good. I know it was a rainy day in East Rutherford. I mean, it was raining here in New York, so I'm pretty sure it was raining there as well. I'm a little scared though. Hope Aaron Rodgers bounces back. Hope the Garrett Wilson connection gets better. But we'll see. The Vikings, I mean, at least in the first half, destroyed the Green Bay Packers. Were winning 28-7. But Jordan Love and the Packers woke up a little bit. Let's look at the stats for this one. The Vikings looking like one of the best, if not the best, team in the NFL. Sam Darnold in an elite game. 20 for 28, 275, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. The pick wasn't amazing, but other than that, he's had a very solid game. And I think right now, it's kind of hard to deny him from being that MVP front runner right now. I think he leads the league in touchdown passes. I think he's top 5 in yards. I think he's top 5 in efficiency as well. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to check on that one, but I know for sure he leads the league in touchdown passes. Rushing wise, Aaron Jones kind of put it on. The Packers, 22 rushes for 93 yards is only a 4.2 average, so maybe could get a little bit better than that. But 93 yards on the ground is definitely impressive in its own right. Receiving wise, Justin Jefferson, big game, had that crazy touchdown catch where he kind of just caught it behind the defender's head. Perfectly thrown ball there from Sam Darnold. Jordan Addison does what he usually does against the Packers, tears them up, 3 for 72 and a touchdown. Aaron Jones' receiving was also solid. And then defensively wise, I mean, 3 picks had to come from somewhere. Byron Murphy with an interception. Shaquille Griffin with an interception. Haven't heard his name in a long time. He was very solid with the Jaguars. I'm just not sure what happened. And then Kamu Grugier Hill also with an interception. Sacks, Patrick Jones out of Duke got in. I'm actually pretty excited to see what he could do this season. And yeah, the Vikings were just the better team than the Packers today. Jordan Love, 32 for 54, 389, 4 touchdowns, and 3 picks. If you're bringing your quarterback off of, what was it, an Achilles, what was the even an MCL sprain, an Achilles, whatever, I do not exactly remember what that injury was. But if you're bringing your franchise superstar quarterback who just came off of a 3 week injury and you're having him pass 54 times in a game, we definitely have a problem. I know he had 389 yards, but those 3 picks, he did not have a great game. Luckily, in that second half, he played slightly better, but there should be no scenario where your quarterback throws for 54 yards off of a pretty serious injury. Rushing wise, Josh Jacobs, only 9 carries. I mean, that's going to happen when you go down 28-7 at halftime. I'd like to see them get the ball more times next week. But like I said, when you're losing by that much, you're going to have to air it out. Emmanuel Wilson was not that good, but receiving wise, Jaden Reed, 7 for 139 and a touchdown, very elite. Dontavian Wicks, 5 for 78 and 2 touchdowns, very elite as well. Tucker Kraft got him for a touchdown. Romeo Dubs was solid. Bo Melton was okay. And I guess the receivers were pretty on fire today, especially Jaden Reed, Wicks, and Tucker Kraft. Defensively, Quay Walker got in for a sack. Keyshawn Nixon got in for a sack. And then Xavier McKinney, 4 picks in 4 weeks so far for this Packers, looking like he's been an elite pickup out of free agency so far this year. Steelers Colts was a very interesting game. Overall, boy, the Steelers unlucky that Joe Flacco came into that game because they were going to destroy this team. Aaron Richardson, what am I talking about? Anthony Richardson came in and played that whole game. But Justin Fields had a very solid game. And if it wasn't for that one fumble and possibly, maybe as well, that George Pickens stupid fumble as well, this team probably wins that game. But Fields, 34 passes attempts, 312 yards, a touchdown. He's very solid as a passer. And he's also improved him passing in the middle, which is one of the questions we saw coming out of the first 2 weeks of the season. Him on the ground was also very good. Cordell Patterson was also very good. I guess Warren was hurt because that's definitely some guys I expect to take some rushes. And Najee Harris, 13 for 19. I don't know about that one. I think they can move on from him possibly when his contract ends. I don't know if that's this year or maybe next year. Receiving wise, Pickens, 7 for 113. If he doesn't make that fumble, they'd probably win that game. Pat Fryermuth, 5 for 57 and a touchdown. He was solid. Um, but yeah, this game kind of was not expected from the Steelers. Felt like this was a game they should have easily won. Um, Defensively wise, Cam Hayward got in for a sack. Larry Ogunjobi got in for half, and then Beanie Bishop also got in for half. And then for the Indianapolis Colts, Joe Flacco came in and cooked. 16 for 26, 168 and 2 touchdowns. Anthony Richardson, while he was in 3 for 4, 71 yards, doing what he does best, just throwing for 20 yards an attempt. Yeah, he was okay when he was playing though. Rushing wise, Jonathan Taylor, this offense moves through him. He is that main piece. He's probably that team's best player right now. Is that something we can confidently say? I think it probably is. Anthony Richardson, solid on the ground. Adonai Mitchell got a rush attempt as well. Michael Pittman, as a Michael Pittman fantasy owner, it's kind of hurt me because I benched him this week. He did not have a good first 3 weeks, but I guess when Joe Flacco's throwing you the ball, you should play him. The touchdown came from Andrew Ogletree. He had one catch for 15 yards and a touchdown. And Josh Downs, 3 for 82, and another touchdown. Was also very solid as well. Defensively wise, EJ Speed got in for 12 tackles. Okay. Chris Lamons got in for a sack. To be honest, I don't know who you are. And then half a sack came from Grover Stewart. 1.5 sacks came from Dayo Odiingbo. And half a sack came from Tyquan Lewis as well. The Bears came away with their first kind of resounding, I'm not going to say resounding one, but their offense looked the best they had the whole season in this game against the Rams. Matthew Stafford, 200 for 29, 224 in a pick. Not amazing. Rushing wise, Kyron Williams has stepped it back up. Like to see that. We know he's one of the best running backs in this league. Tutu Atwell, 4 for 82 receiving. Solid. Jordan Whittington, 6 for 62 out of Texas. Solid. And then Marcus Robinson, only 2 catches. But I guess that's okay. Obviously, no Puka, no Cooper Cup. It's going to be tough to win football games. Defensively wise, Quentin Lake got in for 1 sack. So did Braden Fisk out of Florida State, one of those guys everyone was watching at the combine. And then Michael Holtz got in for a sack as well. Don't know how to say that name, but congrats, you got in for a sack. I think this was definitely one of the. Oh, I guess there's actually more to look for this game. This was one of those red zone games where wasn't really watching it too intensely, but knew enough that it looked like this Bears offense was looking the best it has looked so far this season. Caleb Williams, 17 for 23, 157 and a touchdown. Is it the most yards per attempt? No, but I think that's okay, especially for that rookie quarterback. Sometimes you just have to check down, and I think this was his most efficient game so far this season. I'm cool with it, especially if they're going to win the football game. DeAndre Swift, surprise, surprise, looks like he's not one of the worst running back or the worst running back in the league. 16 for 93, 158 and a touchdown. Very, very good. Receiving wise, he also led them. Like I said, it's okay for rookie quarterbacks to check down. DeAndre Swift, 7 catches for 72 yards. DJ Moore was the one who got the touchdown. I'd like to see him get maybe slightly more involved. I mean, wow, your top 3 receivers getting 3 catches, 1 catch, not too good. Looks like I might have to plug in the computer. But yeah, maybe I just like to see Caleb Williams involve him a little bit more. Not like he didn't try, but it's kind of tough to see if you have 3 near elite receivers, 2 elite receivers. We'll see what Roman Dunze ends up being, and then them just combining with only 7 catches. Defensively wise, Jaquan Brisker out of Penn State had the pick and an interception, or pick and sack, excuse me, had a very good game. Also, 8 tackles as well. He might win Defensive Player of the Week for, what is this, the NFC. But then again, you do have Fred Warner, so it's going to be tough. So who knows? And you never know. Tonight, Aiden Hutchinson could go for 8 sacks. Other than that, sack from Montez Sweat, sack from Gervin Dexter Sr., and the Bears defense got it done. They were very solid. Next up, we have the Buccaneers annihilating the Philadelphia Eagles. Kind of what I expected. Jalen Hurts, okay, type of game. Saquon Barkley, nah, I mean, he was solid. Only 10 rushes is kind of confusing, but when you're down 24 to 7.5, you're going to have to start airing out that football. Dallas Goddard receiving was solid. Barkley was solid, but you don't have A.J. Brown, or you don't have Devontae Smith. Kind of how it's going to look in that receiving room. Defensively wise, 1 sack from Brandon Graham. I think that was it. Actually, no, they had another one from Josh Sweat, but no interceptions. And when it came to Baker Mayfield, he lit them up. 30 for 47, 347 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bucky Irving, Rashad White both looked very good. Bucky Irving was the one who got him for the touchdown, and Baker Mayfield also had a rushing touchdown. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, 2 of maybe the most consistent receivers in the league. I don't know. Feels like these guys never have a bad game. Yeah, these guys were very good. Trey Palmer had 1 touchdown. Who was the one that dropped the other touchdown? Was it Trey Palmer again, or maybe was it Sterling Shepard? I'm not so sure. Also, Sterling Shepard's on the Buccaneers. I did not know that at all. But yeah, they destroyed this Eagles team. Kind of expected it though. Another game I don't really want to talk about too much. It's just the 49ers annihilating the Patriots. Another one I kind of just expected. I think I predicted 19-0. I should have gave the Patriots the benefit of the doubt that they could score more than 0 points. And for some reason, I don't pick up the 49ers defense. Who knows? Jacoby Brissett, I mean, I still believe it should be Drake May time because your ceiling is only that high with Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback. Rushing, Stevenson, he fumbles the ball too much. Receiving, When your quarterback throws for 168 yards, this is kind of how the receiving room's going to look. Basically, what I expected. Defensively wise, Shaquille Peppers, the guy with the what is the cap called on the helmet? The Guardian cap. He's cooking out of Michigan. I remember watching him when I was younger. He was just doing everything on the field for Michigan. Running back, receiver, kick returner, punt returner. Came in motion, wildcat, safety, cornerback, linebacker. He was doing it all on the football field. So it's very fun to watch. Cool to see him turning into a very, very, very solid NFL player. He had a pick that game. And other than that, kind of regular stuff from this 49ers offense and defense. Or, excuse me, Patriots offense and defense. But for the 49ers, Brock Purdy, probably his worst game of the season, still ended up with a touchdown, also a pick as well. Jordan Mason making Christian McCaffrey look like a system running back. I don't know. He's been very good the first couple weeks of this season. I mean, he started all 4 weeks, I'm pretty sure. I don't know what his contract ends up, but when it does end up, it's looking like he might get a running back one spot from somewhere in the league. Could it potentially be my New Orleans Saints? I don't know. We're going to pay Alvin Kamara. We're not going to pay Alvin Kamara. I don't know. But if we don't, Jordan Mason might be a very solid replacement. I'm just saying. I love Alvin Kamara. I mean, is he my favorite Saint of all time? I became a Saints fan in like 2016, 2015, 2016. No, it's still Michael Thomas. I mean, I'm just a guy who loves wide receivers and Michael Thomas. My first NFL jersey. I mean, come on. He's the best. Receiving wise, Jawan Jennings, very good. Same thing with Debo Samuel. And overall, I mean, Christian or Brandon Ayuk, 2 for 48, 6.8 fantasy points. Sure, go ahead. George Kittle was also solid, but yeah, overall, it was belt to you know what this game. And also, shout out to Michael Thomas. Hope you find a team somewhere. Just sign to the Chiefs or something. I want to see you go win a Super Bowl. For the Cardinals and the Commanders, I mean, you kind of know what's going to come out of this game. What did I tell you guys? What did I tell you guys? Jaden Daniels is a beast. Rushing wise, Brian Robinson, 21 rushes for 100 yards, also very good. Receiving wise, Jaden Daniels got everyone involved. Olamide Zacchaeus, 6 for 85. Terry McLaurin was the one who got the touchdown. Noah Brown was solid. Zach Ertz was solid. I mean, wow, Jaden Daniels is just crazy. Kyler Murray, 16 completions worth 142 and a touchdown. Not that good. James Conner looked a lot better on the ground this week than he did last week. And then receiving Marvin Harrison Jr. basically did all this work in the first quarter. So at the end of the day, didn't really matter. Defensively wise, we had one pick from Garrett Williams on a pretty shaky ball from Jane Daniels, but it's good to get his first pick out of the way. We did not want that harping him for the rest of this. Next up, we're going to have the Chiefs and the Chargers. And now this is a game where the Chargers probably should have eked out the win. Mahomes, 16 for 29, 245, a touchdown and a pick. Not his best day. He's not having a great start to this season. Kareem Hunt, surprise, surprise, was pretty solid this week. 14 for 69. Carson Steele, I think did he have a fumble this game? I can't remember. But only 2 rushes. Looks like Andy Reid was definitely a lot trustworthy in his former franchise running back, Kareem Hunt. Travis Kelsey, big bounce back week, looking like the old Travis Kelsey, 7 for 89. Xavier Worthy got in for the touchdown. And then I guess he's not popping up here. Where is Rashee Rice? Might have tore his ACL. A little scared for Rashee Rice. Hope he's okay. I prefer if you did have a problem with your knee to potentially miss out next week because you do play the Saints. But obviously, I'm hoping that he comes back strong, comes back healthy. Hopefully, it's not a torn ACL, but if it is, not looking too good for the Chiefs. But we've seen Mahomes make it work with no wide receivers before. Defensively wise, Chris Jones got him for 2 sacks. Wow, he's an absolutely insane football player. And then for the Chargers, just not a lot of production from Justin Herbert. And that's going to come a lot from Jim Harbaugh. Like, he's not inefficient. He's just not throwing it long, and he's not throwing it as much times as maybe he wants to. Only 27 throws. I mean, I know that's it's kind of average. But when you have a guy like Justin Herbert, you probably want to get into the 30s and only 170 passing yards. J.K. Dobbins, is he real? Is he not real? I don't think he's real. I'm going to be honest. I do not think he's real. He had those first 2 weeks of absolute eliteness. Since then, not that good. 14 for 32. Receiving wise, Lad McConkey got him for the touchdown. A nice catch in the back of the end zone where he got his foot and his knee in. Josh Palmer was solid. Quentin Johnson, 1 catch for 9 yards. Looks like he might, I don't know. He had a very good start to the season. We'll see what happens. I hope he continues to keep his consistency. Defensively wise, Bud Dupree. What? Bud Dupree, out of all people, 2 sacks. Tarheeb still with the half a sack. I've never heard of him in my life. And Troy Dye with a half a sack as well. This is a game I'm going to try to spend under 1 minute on. Deshaun Watson, forget about that interception. He had a very solid day. That interception was 100% Amari Cooper's fault. Jerome Ford was solid on the ground. Jared Judy, I guess 6 for 72. He's not that good. Amari Cooper 4 for 35. A random not great game from Amari Cooper. Like he couldn't catch. The one touchdown he had got called back. It's just out of the ordinary day for Amari Cooper, and that's just not something you see every day. Defensively wise, 2 sacks for Miles Garrett. He was injured last week. Looks like he's back and he's absolutely fine. And then no picks for the Raiders, the winning team. Minshew, 14 for 24, 130 yards. Cool. Alexander Madison should 100% be this team's running back one. Stop giving the ball to Zamir White. DJ Turner got him for the rushing touchdown, and so did Trey Tucker. Receiving wise, Myers, cool. Trey Tucker, cool. Devontae Adams comes to the New Orleans Saints because this team is trash. Trayvon Mulder got him for the interception, so I guess that's cool. But yeah, Devontae Adams comes to the Saints. I really don't see the problem of why you would not want to go to the New Orleans Saints. We have your college quarterback. We have an actual solid offensive coordinator where you're not going to have the same plays that you're getting right now for the Las Vegas Raiders. And then the last game we have is going to be the Ravens and the Bills. Josh Allen, 16 for 29, 180, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. I mean, it's just a game where I don't know. He felt like he played okay that game. Surprised he only had 180 yards. I expected him to be low to mid 200s. He had a very solid game. It felt like obviously maybe that long pass to Khalil Shakir kind of inflated it in my mind, but I felt like he played pretty solid. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below. James Cook, 9 for 39, I mean, I don't really know about that one. Khalil Shakir, solid game, 4 for 62. Keon Coleman had two of the basically identical catches on the sideline. He's looking like to potentially be that future wide receiver one. Del Kincaid, 5 catches, and then yeah, no touchdowns right there. Only touchdown came from Ty Johnson on that 1 yard run. And then defensively, 1 sack from Balin Spector. I believe that was it, and obviously no picks. For the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, 18 passing attempts, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns, 13 completion. Very, very solid game. And Derrick Henry, like, how does Derrick Henry at this point? Is he 31? So is he 30 years old? I think he might be 31 years old at this point. He's 30 years old. I mean, he's going to turn 31 by the end of the season, but wow. Wow, wow, wow. Does he still have basically everything in the tank, looking like so far the best running back in the NFL this year. Lamar was also solid on the ground. Receiving wise, kind of spread it out a little bit. Justice Hill got a touchdown, so did Derrick Henry. Hill got that little wheel route for a touchdown. That was a very nice route by him. Isaiah Likely only 1 catch. Rashad Bateman had 1 catch. And then Mark Andrews had a chance for a catch, but right through his hands. Not a good game from him. Defensively wise, Calvin Noy looking like he's turning back the clock and turning back to an elite edge rusher. He got him for 2 sacks. Odafe Owe got him for a sack as well. He's someone I'm liking to see the progression from him as well. Remember watching him in college, scouting him for the NFL draft before I made this YouTube channel, of course. And I just thought he had superstar potential. Maybe he's kind of filling that out so far. But yeah, that's going to be it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed with my what was this week 4 NFL reactions. Make sure to like and subscribe. I know this is probably going to be a bit of a longer video. It didn't even mean it to be. I thought this was actually going to be one of the shorter videos, but like and subscribe. Go into the description and submit your video ideas, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace.